Just kidding. Well, welcome Kemosabe clients to our Chariot Corporation update. So with us today, we've got Shanthar Pathmanathan, who is the Managing Director of Chariot. So welcome, Shanthar.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks for Kemosabe's support so far as well, bringing the company to this point.
No worries. It's been a good ride and exciting times ahead with the listing scheduled for early October, the 2nd of October.
Yeah, it's extremely exciting. I think this will be the next big lithium IPO on the ASX. It's been some time coming. I appreciate the patience of our shareholders. We have done a bit to get here, and fortunately, we now have the support of some brand name stockbroking firms, so Wilson's Stockbroking and Jet Capital out of New York. Probably as well positioned as we could be for an ASX IPO, and we've got an exciting portfolio of assets as well.
So I think we wanted to keep it fairly high level today, and I don't think we need to talk about lithium. I think most people understand that there is a move to electric vehicles. I live in the city. I think it's a great thing that there'll be electric vehicles, and we'll see in India and China, most of those people, as they come out of those lower socioeconomic conditions, their first cars will be electric cars. Maybe $15,000 worth or whatever, but they all need lithium. And my understanding is, talking to people who work in these spaces, like our good friends at Red Earth, is that lithium battery is here to stay. It's the premium way to store energy.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Richard. So there's plenty of discussion around the potential of lithium. What attracts me is that it's going to be a consumer product. So for the first time, we're going to have a metal being used at scale as a consumer product, not as a fixture in society. So what that implies, it's going to be a very deep market, akin to the oil market, which attracts us as a company, and we want to get positioned for that. In particular, in the United States, the US is coming to the fore in the EV market after lagging China for a long time. And the US lithium space is about 10 years behind Australia. So you would have seen all the big successes in Australia with Pilbara, Liontown, and so on. That has yet to happen in the US. They're building their first lithium mines as we speak. So Thacker Pass, which is a neighbor to our Resurgent project, it will be the first claystone-hosted lithium mine in the world, being built by Lithium Americas and General Motors. And then you've got Kings Valley, which is being developed by Albemarle. So those will be the first two lithium mines in the United States, and there's a massive market opportunity in the US, which excites us. Lithium as a sector hasn't existed in the US until now and in any great scale. So what that means is that the growth, the development of the sector is going to have to happen through the drill bit. And that's where, why we are positioned the way we are.
And Shanthar, that might be an interesting point to just go back a step, and maybe you could tell people a bit about yourself and your history working in America and your exposure to lithium over the last dozen or so years.
Yeah, look, I think in short, it's a long story. So been in the resources and chemicals industries for about 20 years now. Most of that time was as an investment banker with Macquarie and Deutsche Bank. The short answer to that is I was an oil and gas investment banker working with Macquarie, then Deutsche, successfully doing deals, profitable deals. 2016 started to see that we had a real technology at hand, right, to replace the ICE cars, internal combustion engine cars. And given that technology is there, it's real, it is superior, It was just a matter of deployment of that technology, and I think that'll happen. The work's cut out for us, but it will happen. And so, and recognizing the scale potential from working in oil and gas previously, I've basically gone all in on lithium, and so ran another listed lithium company for some time. The benefit of that was we invested, a certain amount of capital, about $8 million, and developed a great deal of understanding and knowledge of the lithium sector, albeit the nascent lithium sector as I still see it today. But I think that knowledge is invaluable in effectively a new sector, and that knowledge and the advantages of that knowledge has borne fruit for this company now, in that we've been able to outcompete a number of other players to secure what I consider to be some of the more iconic lithium exploration assets in the US. So much so that people are now wanting to buy our non-core assets, and you would have seen that we have successfully sold off a number of non-core assets, purely because people revere our excellence in lithium exploration. So that's the sort of roundabout way in how I've gotten involved in this sector, and I think it's still very early, and there are very exciting times ahead.
All right, well, let's focus on Chariot, and I guess with this raising, with this listing, you're raising $15.5 million, and a good portion of that is going to be deployed into the drilling. And so I think it would be good to have a look at a couple of those projects, and maybe start with let's start with Black Mountain, because I think that's where most of the money is going.
Yeah, absolutely, Richard. So why don't I start on this page? This will give you an overview. We've got two core projects. The first is Black Mountain. It is a project that we had to compete for fairly fiercely to get control of. And the second project is called the Resurgent Lithium Project, which is claystone. So in claystone, we are targeting basically a lake bed, right? So if you can imagine an ancient lake where the water's dried up, but the lithium inside the water has then been enriched inside the lake bed, which has turned into clay over millions of years. The particular formation I'm talking about is called the McDermott Caldera. That already hosts the two largest claystone deposits on the planet, one owned by Lithium Americas, the other owned by Jindalee Resources. We have done what I consider to be a Fortescue Minerals type play, and encroached on the play of the incumbents, and ended up with the second largest land position in what is already the richest and highest grade claystone hosted lithium system in the world. So that's our second project. But importantly, our number one project is the Black Mountain project. So this is a good synopsis of the Black Mountain project. Richard has incidentally been to site and seen firsthand what I'm going to talk about. So to get hold of this portfolio, we had to go through a pretty fierce process. We had to do deals with two different vendors. We learnt of this property when one vendor was selling off two claims, and two claims are wholly insufficient for a mining project. We recognize that. And so this was in December 2021. We put in a bid, but whilst we were bidding, we encircled his two claims with about 90 claims of our own, right? So we sent up staking crew on the 2nd of January 2022 at minus 25 degrees Celsius and secured effectively the asset, because once we had the 90 claims, it was fait accompli that we would then own the project. it took some time. So we initially lost the bid for the two claims to another billion-dollar listed lithium company, NASDAQ listed lithium company. We also found out there was another owner of another 27 claims within the package. So we went and first did a deal with the owner of the 27 claims. We agreed to pay him $4 million. A lot of that's already been paid. And then we had a hole in our property, which was those two claims that we'd lost the bid on. So in August 2022, I got a call that the vendor had called one of our people and informed us that the billion-dollar listed lithium company had withdrawn from their bid on the two claims, and it asked if we were interested in bidding for those two claims. That billion-dollar company had obviously done their due diligence with the Bureau of Land Management in the United States and figured out that we were the registered owner of everything around them, so they really didn't have a project with the two claims. So we eventually did a deal. We had to pay pretty strong price for that. So we agreed to buy out those two claims for $4 million. So the purchase price on this property will be at the end of 10 million USD, where 2 million of that would be to buy back a royalty in favor of one of the vendors of 2%. Long story short, we will be exercising the option upon drilling results. So that could happen in the next 12 months or so. So this property, in my mind, is rare. It sits alongside Iris Metals. Iris Metals is in the Black Hills of South Dakota, about 200 miles away from this property. Similar geology, so Wyoming and South Dakota are neighboring states. This property is in Wyoming, and Wyoming is vastly underpopulated, 600,000 people in the Midwest of America. Ideal in terms of lithium supply. It has something like 800 pegmatites exposed at surface. So whilst we've secured this property, we have also gone and secured 6 other projects in Wyoming by staking them ourselves. The net effect is we now control Wyoming from a lithium perspective. Other ASX companies have tried to interject. We were able to intercept them and through our people on the ground and secure. It's got lithium in spodumene, which is this stuff, and it can look like pure crystals on occasion when it's pure. It's got lithium at surface running as high as 6.68% lithium oxide. So those are sensational numbers, very much eye-opening numbers. It has so our geologists can tell the angle of the pegmatites at depth, and instead of being flat-lying pegmatites, we interpret them to be pegmatite dikes, so going straight into the ground. We think this is what Liontown would have looked like, Kathleen Valley would have looked like before it was drilled. It would have also had outcropping pegmatites. So if you can see my hand, the fingers are outcropping, the tops of the fingers are outcropping, but what's underneath is unknown. And so we interpret that to be a system where the pegmatites, the tops of the pegmatites are outcropping, but they rejoin at depth into a larger stock. The origin of these pegmatites are about 8 kilometers below surface. So what we're actually seeing is sort of the last stage of crystallization of the rock as magma that would have intruded billions of years ago. The other significant feature is, so we've got, if you can see my cursor, we've got 40 pegmatites that are outcropping at surface. They occur along a 2-kilometer strike. So it's a significant system. It has attracted the attention of one of the largest EV car makers in the world. I'm not at liberty to disclose who. It has attracted the attention of one of the largest iron ore producers in the world. Again, not at liberty to disclose. Will become the first producer of lithium, hard rock lithium, in the United States after Kings Valley by Albemarle in the Carolinas.
And Shanthar, so the lithium is hosted in 3 ways, if I'm right. There's brine, which is common in Chile, South America.
digress.
There's
I
the
think there's a relevant point here. So to look at our team, Max Baker, who's geologist, chief geologist, and previously chief geologist at Newcrest. But notably, we've got Neil Stewart on our board. So Neil was the founding chairman of Orocobre, one of the first lithium brine mines to be developed, and certainly the first ASX-listed lithium brine mine to be developed. Neil is, a godfather of lithium, so to speak. Neil has told me that forget about finding any more lithium brine properties that are of any merit. The good ones were taken a long time ago because you can see them at surface inside playas or salt lakes, right? So typically lithium brine reservoirs have all been found at surface, although they can occur at depth, but that becomes a lot more challenging. And his view is the good ones were taken, and they mostly exist in Chile and Argentina. And so a corollary of that is the second source of lithium, which is claystone-hosted lithium. Both brine and claystone happen to occur with a similar type of volcanics called acid volcanics. And that volcanic material, if it's high in lithium, will create mountains and whatnot and deposit a lot of volcanic matter, right? So magma and ash and whatnot. If those volcanoes are high in lithium, over time, the volcanic matter would then get leached by millions of years of rain and drainage. And what we are targeting with brine and with claystone is the same play, that we're targeting lakes where the leached water that is rich in lithium has drained into. And in the case of lithium brine, we're talking about, active aquifers. In the case of claystone-hosted lithium, the water's dried up, but the lake bed remains. And if I can, I'll just take you and show you what that looks like. So this is the claystone that's exposed at surface at our property. It's running 3,800 ppm. Cutoff grade for ore is 1,000 ppm, right? So we've got 3 times ore grade at surface. This system goes for kilometers in strike. We've got SRK opining on this property, and their comment to me was, your exploration is done. You've found the ore body. You're basically into resource definition stage. And we were sitting on potentially a very large ore body by his reckoning. He's SRK, so the gold standard of geology globally, are opining on our claystone property. Then thirdly, and most importantly, what the market is most interested in, excited about, is hard rock lithium. Hard rock lithium is what is produced in WA. Different style of mineralization, comes from a different type of volcanic activity. This tends to be more focused and it's harder to find. And our strategy is simply to adopt the strategy of the early Australian lithium companies and target and pursue after properties with lithium mineralization at surface. So if we can see the pegmatites, if it's got spodumene, if it's got lithium minerals, tantalum, these are called LCT pegmatites, lithium, cesium, tantalum pegmatites. If they're there at surface, the probability of a discovery becomes incredibly high, and then in future cost of production tends to be significantly lower than buried systems. So I think it's a luxury of our time that we can have access to properties with lithium mineralization at surface, and we intend to exploit on that luxury or opportunity in the US. So that opportunity now has gone in WA. In the US, that opportunity exists. So what you can expect from us is further ground to be added to our portfolio. We've got a few in our sites at the moment. And so we are, to answer your question, Richard, we are positioned in hard rock lithium, which is spodumene in crystals, which is what Pilbara Minerals produces. And secondly, we are positioned in claystone-hosted lithium. But before I conclude, so on that point, claystone hosted lithium, I think, is a longer term solution when the scale of this industry is going to become a lot larger to supply a larger EV market, right? So currently we're dealing with nascent scale, and claystone, similar to lithium brine, are enormous in scale. So to give you an idea, Pilbara Minerals has 8.9 million tons of lithium carbonate equivalent resource, right? Thacker Pass, which is our neighbor, has 19 million tons, so 3x of Pilbara Minerals' Pilgangoora project. Here we've listed the hard rock lithium plays in the US, in North America. They are understandably smaller, but more relevant short term. So we're going to have a dual focus. We'll focus on hard rock lithium, Black Mountain, bring that into production potentially, and then at the same time advance our claystone hosted lithium. When scale becomes an issue, we think claystone hosted lithium will be the answer. And to that end, I might just point out here that Lithium Americas is there. We are in blue. We've done a Fortescue style play. We've taken the second largest land position in this ancient lake. It's about 70 kilometers north-south. I think of this as the Saudi Arabia of lithium, sitting in the US. And they're putting $1.7 billion with General Motors committing to $650 million into the Thacker Pass property where my cursor is at the moment. So I think in the US, we are extremely well positioned, Richard, from a mineralization point of view, both hard rock lithium and claystone hosted lithium.
That's great. A great explanation. So, so I guess with the focus, let's go back to Black Mountain, and can we talk about what's going to happen to Black Mountain over the next, well, here we are almost in the 31st of August, and the next 6 to 9 months there. I understand you had some good news last week out of Wyoming, so you might want to work through that.
Yeah, we had some terrific news, Richard. We got our drilling permits, right? Not easy to do. We've got them. That is for the first phase of drilling, about 5,000 meters of drilling. And we will test the exploration targets through that drilling. We will basically drill where we can already see, where you can or anyone could see hard rock lithium at all grade at surface. And we'll drill at that high grade spots on that mountain. Firstly, we expect to then better understand the mountain at depth. Here's a schematic. There's been magnetics done, which I won't get into, but it implies that we've got a much larger system at depth, and the idea is to test this exploration target by drilling into it. So we'll be doing extensive drilling at Black Mountain. We've already done 2 rounds of geochemical sampling of the property at surface, and the results have been resounding. But now the time is to test at depth. So some serious drilling. We have drill permits, as mentioned. We have to pay a bond to the government of about $100,000 USD. That'll happen this week. And after that, we will be able to drill there. The person looking after the drilling campaign will be Max Baker, one of the top geologists on the planet. So Max runs another company called Integra, which he will move out from. They're in Idaho, and he's drilled some 55,000 meters at Integra. And we've already we're in discussions with the drilling contractor as well. So looking to work with the group out of Salt Lake City in Utah. They'll mobilize the rigs from there, and we'll be drilling diamond core holes, not RC. So we will be extracting core out of these properties, and in extremely good hands. So one thing I didn't mention is that we've got about 12 people there, very experienced guys, all operating in the Midwest, explorationists, so geologists and technicians, currently all working with both Integra and us. Longer term, they'll be coming across, and we're already in discussions about making them full-time employees post-IPO.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, I was just going to say for people, just to get an idea, it is high country. So most of the farmland is at about 5,500 feet, and I think the height of Black Mountain is about 8,000 feet. And you've got about 2,500 acres there in ballpark terms, I think.
That's right, Richard. So it's about 2,400 meters above sea level, and about 1,000. I think the general elevation is about 1,000 meters above sea level. It's already pretty high. Very easy access. Richard's been there, seen it firsthand. We've also taken one of the largest EV car makers in the world to the site as well. And go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, so if you start drilling, I guess, well, you list early October. So can you be drilling by November, December? Is it too cold? What happens?
Yeah, so we've actually got $3.5 million cash at bank today.
Okay.
We're going to use some of that to mobilize the rigs, but obviously, the drilling contract will require more funds, so we will literally mobilize on the day after closing the IPO. So upon listing, we will be mobilizing the rigs. So firstly, at early October to late November, early December at Black Mountain. Then it starts to get cold, the snow will come in, right? So we will probably cease activities at that point. Upon extremely strong results, we may decide to extend the campaign into a winter drilling season as well. So that'll require a different approach. Our team, Max Baker, they're very well versed in drilling through ice. They do that at their other project in Idaho. And again, that's a decision to be made in and around December, but that's an option. In Nevada, we can potentially drill a little bit further into December, but again, at both places, there's a great slide which shows the program, the drilling programs. So we'll have two concurrent drilling programs active as a listed company, one at Black Mountain, one at Resurgent. And, I expect to deliver spectacular news from these programs. About 70% of our funds will be going into exploration. So most of our money is going to go into drilling, mainly Black Mountain, and secondly, the Resurgent project in Nevada and Oregon.
Okay. And I can see their drill results sort of in that early December period, late November, or somewhere around there.
Yeah. So look, I think conservatively, it'll be sort of late Q4, Q1.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Well, I think that will give people a pretty good overview of where you've been and where you're going to go to over the coming months. Is there anything else you'd like to add to it, Shanthar? I'm just conscious of time.
Look, again, I'd like to thank you for your support, Richard. I think we've been very well funded to date, done what we had to get to this point. And the offer's pretty tightly bid on at the moment, and it's only available through a few channels, right? Certain channels, Richard McGrath being one of them. So it's very well placed, and thanks again for everyone for your support.
Great. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Shanthar. And it's exciting, and good luck with what's around the corner.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for your time today.